Welcome back to Bespoke Addict. I've got another lovely pair here. I'm probably going to keep these. I'm going to be selling this lot. They're being prepared for sale, but I'm probably going to keep these. They don't look very, in this condition. They've got polish on them, which they shouldn't have, and they've not had shoe trees in them, but they're actually really quite nice. And I bought them, and they were sold as loafers, leather loafers, and it's actually genuine alligator skin. It's not fake. Whoever had sold them must have been told that it was fake, so there was no mention of alligator or crocodile. And I could see on the video, not the video, on the photographs, that it looked for all the world to be real. And now that I've got it in my hand, they are real, but they're a bit neglected. They're a bit crunched and curled up. And if we just pop a tree inside them, instantly it sort of pulls some of the creasing and the curling out. And I'm going to use quite heavily isopropyl alcohol, and I'm going to use it to remove any sort of colour. I'll just pop the light on. I forgot to put the light on. There we go, just a little bit of light. Any bit of colour that's been applied by polishers, because there is a bit of polish in the in between the creases. And I want to dry the skin out and make it shrink very slightly, just to take away some of the bagginess. And then I'll use one of these creams, not that one, and I'll feed it over a period of days and buff the cream. The only thing they actually need is this elastic here. It's probably from the 60s or the 70s. It's gone very hard, and the elastic's stretched. So I'll be putting new elastic in, and I'll tighten them up very slightly. Just make the elastic, that's what, about 25 millimeters. I'll make it about 10 millimeters. So it'll just pull these edges in. But they're lovely things. And I paid so little for them because they weren't being advertised as genuine alligator skin, but they are. They're not English. They're not English construction. They're nice. I'm guessing Italian, possibly French, but they're certainly not South American or Spanish. My first guess is Italian and possibly French, but they're lovely. They're really nice, and I'll be keeping those. I am selling quite a lot, and I'm selling quite a lot of my exotic skins, but I won't be selling these. I'm going to clean these up, and all I'm going to do. Let's just do a little bit now. I'm just going to treat them with alcohol, quite a lot of alcohol, get the skin very, very wet, deliberately make it a little bit dry for two reasons. One, I want it to shrink a little bit, and I want the skin to be quite thirsty, so that when it's thirsty, let me just drop the alcohol down. When the skin's thirsty, it draws the colour pigment deep within the skin. And it's fine to deliberately rub the skins. Yeah, there is some colour coming off there. Some of it's dirt, some of it's colour. It's fine to deliberately make the skins thirsty, like I'm doing here. I'll probably spend 10 or 15 minutes rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, getting them quite wet. And, or just encourage the wrinkles to sort of disappear and flatten. And as they dry, the skins will shrink a little bit and they'll just become a nicer shape. But as I said, I probably said it 3 times and not continue what I'm saying. It's fine to deliberately make the skins thirsty like this, so long as you don't wear them and they're not being bent. The skins can't go anywhere because of the strong trees inside them. And I won't be removing the trees until they've been thoroughly moisturised. I won't even try to bend them, nothing. That would be, it would risk cracking them here. But let's get a bit more alcohol. Just, yeah, they've definitely got polish on. Exotic skins don't work well with polish. It's the polish, it makes the alligator or crocodile listless, makes it very sort of flat looking, and it clags and crinkles in the in the creases, the natural texture of the skin. But I'll just keep going and going and going. I'll probably spend at least 10 minutes doing this on each shoe, deliberately trying to pull away any dirt, any old polish, and like I say to you, deliberately make the skin a little bit thirsty just to shrink it. And I'm not going to use that cream, it's the wrong colour, but I'll use something very similar, and just revive the colour and revive the condition, and just use a brush just to sort of buff. When this goes dry, I'll just buff it, and you get the most lovely lustre and it doesn't need polish afterwards. When you buff them, dry buffing, maybe spend as much as an hour on the dry buffing in total. You apply the cream, let it dry, give it a buff, apply more cream, let it dry, buff it again. And then when eventually the skin will stop absorbing, it just stops absorbing the cream. It doesn't appear to be sinking in or drying. And you know that the skin's saturated at that point. It takes time. These are old and they've been polished, but the wax polish is sitting on the surface, and then it's sitting on the surface of the old polish. The skin itself has not been nourished or treated. So we're very lucky that they haven't cracked. So I don't believe they've ever been nourished in their lifetime, but they've been polished mistakenly. Polish sitting on top of old polish doesn't really nourish the skin. Got to get every trace of polish off, so there's no barriers whatsoever, and that cream will sink into the skin. It will keep sinking, and eventually when it's saturated, it stops sinking. So you just have to wipe the surface dry with a cloth, and then you can start the dry buffing. Polishers are designed to reflect light. They build up and build up and build up, and the thicker the layer, the more light they reflect. But if it's got the thick layers built up, the polish never touches the skin. They do have sort of waxes and sort of softening agents within the polish, but when you've got polish on top of polish, it doesn't nourish the skin. Because I'm going to be completely removing all polish. We know when I come to apply the cream, and I'll not forget to do the linings too, and the soles. It's only skin and it does dry and it cracks across here. So, I'm going to stop talking now because this is repetitive, but I'll probably spend another 5 minutes really, really rubbing, getting every trace off. Then I'll leave them for at least 24 hours before we start to rubbing the cream. Not that cream, one of a closer match on the colour. Right. Like I say, to unlike all the shoes to the right here, I'll be keeping these. These are staying with me. All of the others are definitely getting sold.